We've
Wow.
got a comment here from Frontiers Rafting saying, currently Africa holds adolescent economic status to most of the rest of the world. How do we achieve economic adulthood when it doesn't appear to be in the interest of most of the world that exploits an often chaotic and underdeveloped status of Africa to support that emergence? So this idea of we're kind of behind the curve already, how do we graduate from this perception that we are way down there in the economic curve?
If I may touch on that real quick. I think we're talking narrative shifting, right? So what are the numbers? Yes, we are 3% of global trade. But when you look at the numbers within the continent itself, the continent is growing and it's been growing tremendously. And that's, so yes, we are adolescents. We are not adolescents like, I guess let me say we're adolescents who are growing on steroids or hormones, whatever. I don't know what it is. So I think part of the narrative shifting is to perhaps also start looking at this thing from a point of view that we as an emerging bloc, and it's a place where you're having high growth markets, the landscape is changing. You have a very growing middle class. You have more and more investments going to the continent. You have better infrastructure than we did from before. I can list on and on and on. You have African companies listed on some of the global stock exchanges. One of the most, actually, I think one of the best performing African companies in Europe is an African company. You have an African company as Discovery Health, being one of the big health companies, health insurance companies in China. You have Standard Bank doing one of the biggest deals in China as well back in the day as part of BRICS. I mean, there are many stories around this, and the question is, we need to talk more about those stories. In education, there's a shift in education happening as well. If you look at engagement with other countries, engagement of Africa, the plurality of African engagement with other countries, it's amazing. Look at Vietnam. Look what Vietnam is doing in a lot of African countries. Look what the UAE is doing in a lot of African countries, the investments that are happening there. Look at the level of our kids, education levels our kids are getting. Look, if you take every African airline, you have someone you have two people from travel here. If I get on any aircraft from any African countries, by golly, today, most of those people on the aircraft are Africans. Back in the day, maybe 10, 15 years ago, they weren't. And that says something, right? That says something. You look at East Africa alone, on any given day, let's talk about the UAE. Emirates has 2 aircrafts going into Nairobi. Ethiopia has 3 aircrafts coming to the UAE and back and forth. Emirates has 2 other aircrafts. They're like 20 airline aircrafts every single day blanketing East Africa. And they're full. These are not little planes. These are A330s, 777s, whatever. What that tells me as an African is that yes, we're an adolescent, but I'm growing very quickly. And my rate of growth is fundamentally very different from the rate of growth of another adolescent 15 years ago. And now what I'm banking on is that as this trajectory goes on, these kids 10 years from now, 15 years from now, the level of growth and prosperity they're going to achieve is going to be fundamentally very different. Assuming all things being equal, we fix some stuff. Which is a whole different conversation.
And that is the underpin.
That is the problem.
That underpins all things. I mean, I like the examples that you give there, Kwaku. And I think, if you think of multi-choice TV, it was ahead of the curve in so many ways as this behemoth coming out of South Africa, going across the African continent and providing digital TV services for all intents and purposes, ahead of, Rupert Murdoch even. That's been a good, I think, model of Pan-African operations, but we don't have very many of those examples. So a lot of our businesses tend to be regionalized. If it is Wari, you're going to find it in Francophone Africa. If it's, there's just pockets. And I think I'm quite excited for the day where we break these barriers, we break through borders, and there is a real fluid. And I know that the free trade area is designed to do that, but hopefully that happens sooner rather than later. Otherwise, we kind of keep having these conversations for millennia.